The doors were locked. Inside, young women worked shoulder to shoulder, their fingers moving quickly over fabric and thread. It was just another Saturday afternoon. The air was warm, filled with lint and the smell of cloth. Outside, the city moved as always. But on the top floors of a tall building, something had already gone terribly wrong. A small fire began, almost unnoticed. At first, it was just a flicker beneath a table piled with scraps. A dropped match, or maybe a cigarette. No one knew for sure. But in seconds, the flames found what they needed: dry fabric, paper patterns, wooden tables. The fire spread fast. It's faster than anyone expected. Someone shouted. First, people thought it could be controlled. Workers grabbed buckets. Others tried to stamp it out. The flames climbed higher, licking the ceiling, racing across the room like they had a mind of their own. Smoke filled the air, thick and choking. Panic began to rise. These were not just workers. Many were teenage girls, immigrants. Some had come to America only months before, chasing a better life. They worked long hours for little pay, sewing blouses in a crowded factory high above the streets of New York, and now they were trapped. The fire escape, old and rusted, was already giving way under the heat. Some rushed toward it, pushing and crying, but the metal twisted and collapsed. Bodies fell with it, crashing into the alley below. Inside, the smoke grew darker. The main exit door was locked. It had been locked to prevent theft, to control workers, to make sure no one took a break longer than allowed. Now, it became a barrier between life and death. Workers rushed toward the other stairway, but flames blocked their path. Elevators made a few desperate trips, carrying as many as they could. But soon, even those stopped working. The fire had taken over. People began to realize there was no easy way out. Some climbed onto windowsills, gasping for air. Others held hands, crying, praying. The heat was unbearable. The flames were close now, roaring like a storm, and then the unthinkable happened. One by one, they jumped. From 9 stories high, people on the street below watched in horror. They heard the thud of bodies hitting the pavement. Firefighters arrived quickly, but their ladders were too short. Their nets meant to catch those who fell tore apart under the impact. There was nothing they could do. In less than 20 minutes, it was over. The fire that started so small had taken everything. When the smoke cleared, 146 people were dead. Most of them were young women. Some were only 14 years old. Families came searching for loved ones. They waited in silence, hoping for good news. But many would leave with only grief. Some bodies were so badly burned, they could only be identified by small details: a shoe, a ring, a piece of fabric they had sewn themselves. The city was shaken. This was not just an accident, it was a failure to protect workers, a failure to see their lives as valuable. In the days that followed, thousands gathered for funerals, streets filled with mourners. People who had never met the victims stood in the rain, paying their respects. There was anger. 2 questions were asked. Why were the doors locked? Why were safety measures ignored? Why did it take a tragedy like this for anyone to notice? The factory owners were put on trial, but they were found not guilty. For many, it felt like justice had slipped away, and yet something had changed. The fire had opened people's eyes. It forced the nation to confront the harsh reality of factory life: crowded spaces, unsafe conditions. Workers treated as expendable. Laws began to change. New safety rules were created. Fire drills, open exits, better building standards. Slowly, the system began to improve. But for those who lost their daughters, sisters, and friends, no law could bring them back. Years passed, the building still stood. People walked by it every day, some unaware of what had happened there. But for others, it became a place of memory, a reminder of lives lost too soon. If you listen closely, you can almost imagine the sounds: the hum of sewing machines, the laughter of young girls sharing stories, the quiet hope of a better future. And then, the sudden silence. It's easy to forget how quickly ordinary moments can turn into tragedy, how something small can grow into something unstoppable. Those workers went to their jobs that morning like any other day. They had plans, dreams, people waiting for them at home. They did not know it would be their last day. And maybe that's what makes this story so heavy. It's not just the fire, but the lives that were never finished, voices that were never heard again. Because sometimes history is not just about what happened, it's about who was lost, and what it cost to finally be seen,